Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right!
Howdy, howdy, Sudevil here, and welcome to another dwarf battle featuring the Dwarfs versus the Lizardmen and Amovehacker. There's a lot going on in this game. There's so much to talk about, so I'll sort of get going right away. Now, in the last game, I had featured a game with Umaze playing the Dwarfs versus the Lizardmen. And if you watch the channel, you sort of know how my build is. And I talked a little bit about how builds evolve over time, and they tend to start to converge on certain ideas which are really, really strong in the matchup. And now this matchup, our experts we pulled 6 experts in this game, and right now this match is probably the closest one to the Dwarfs versus Lizardmen for the Dwarfs. They all have it sort of dead even. Now, you've seen Amovehacker on the channel before, and his most recent build actually featured a cannon, and it was going up against a ancient salamander. And you know, we were kind of talking about that, and he didn't have a gyrocopter, and he brought one gyrocopter to his build with the brimstone gun. He actually just pretty much straight up replaced the cannon. So I'll go over his build, and this is Umaze has one gyrocopter with just a steam cannon, and I actually added in a gyrocopter with a brimstone gun, just one for my build with a bolt thrower. So just because they're so darn useful in this matchup. So for the rest of his build, he has 5 longbeards for that front line, and I have 5 longbeards for my front line. Umaze has 4 longbeards for his front line. The longbeards are just outstanding in this matchup. He also has the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, and this is something that Umaze has, and he has them with the Dragonback Slayer. So these guys are a very good combo, because the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are anti-infantry, and they do fire damage, and if they ever get the Dragonback Slayers debuffing a unit to make them weak to fire, they're going to do even more damage. But they're really, really strong in this matchup. I don't have them in my lineup. I used to. I've pulled them for sort of a different idea, but they're still outstanding, and you see both Umaze and Amovehacker have this combination in their build. This is something I pulled from Amovehacker. He has 3 miners with blasting charges, and they are very specifically for red-crested skinks and skink cohorts and sort of that sort of thing, and they're very good. I brought 5 into my build. He, of course, has the Ulthar's Raiders, who are amazing in this matchup. Now, I was, a couple of months ago trying to hide these guys in this matchup, but it's so hard because so many Lizardmen have predatory senses, and they're going to pick them up, so it's really hard to get an ambush off of, but they're still amazing in the back line. For his big pressure, though, are these Trollhammer torpedoes. Now, these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes are really, really strong. They can be shut down, but if they can get their damage off, they're devastating. And I have added 1 Trollhammer to my build. Umaze has still yet to add 1 to his build. And for the rest of the backline, he has 1 group of Quarrelers. Umaze has 2 Quarrelers and Rangers. I have 1 Ranger. You know, there's depending on how you do it, but there's just at least one Quarreler or Ranger is really good in this matchup, because they're always going to be red-crested skinks. There's always going to be skink cohorts, or skink cohorts with javelins, or chameleon skinks, or something that the Quarrelers or Rangers are going to be really good at. And the reason you would bring the Quarrelers is they have 4 more ammo than the Rangers. They have 22 ammo, so they're actually really, really strong in terms of being able to get out a lot of damage over time. And he does have the Giant Slayers, and this is something that Umaze also has, is a giant group of Giant Slayers back here. Now, for his leadership, this is something where all 3 of us do something a little different. Amovehacker used just the base Lord, nothing on him, so he costs 1,000 gold. I use Ungram Iron Fist at 1,350 gold, who's naked, and the Umaze uses a Rune Lord and a Runesmith with the Runes of Wrath and Rune, because they can kind of control things, slow them down, and manage them that way. So I'll go over the Lizardmen army, and this is really typical, I would say. It's pretty consistent. A lot of, again, builds are converging, and they're becoming the so-called meta build, and a lot of Lizardmen playing something similar. Now, we have here 1 group of chameleon skinks. Chameleon skinks are very, very specifically to get after Giant Slayers. Now, you saw, or chameleon skinks, or skink cohorts with javelins, or whatever they are, and you saw in that last game with the Umaze where the Giant Slayers really, they got pummeled by a group of not chameleon skinks, but skinks with javelins. This is what they're meant for. They're meant to find a little gap, get a little hole, and really get shots into those giant slayers, because they have no defenses against ammo like that. So that's really what they're for. For his main line, he has 5 red-crested skinks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he just has 4. Sorry. With one of the red-crested skinks. Oh no, he does have 5. With one of the red-crested skinks being the regiment around the cohort of Sotek, and they are unbreakable, and they have this really cool ability called Refuse to Die. So for 60 seconds, the duration is 20 seconds, and they can do it multiple times in a game. No entities can die. They can get down to 1 health, but they just can't die. On the edges are 2 groups of Cold One Riders. Sometimes you see the Horned Ones. Sometimes you see Cold One Riders. Sometimes you see feral Cold Ones. You always see some sort of edge pressure from the Lizardmen. He has the big heavy hitters in the back lines. Only 2 groups of Croxagores. Usually you see 3. Croxagores are very, very strong in this matchup. And down the center, he has 3 groups of Saurus Warriors with shields. Now, I still think this is the very best infantry unit for the Lizardmen, and they're better than the Red Crested Skinks. Just no doubt about it. They're so good. But a lot of Lizardmen players are playing with the Skinks / Croxagore combination, which also works very good. For the big stuff, he does have a Feral Bastillodon. Again, this is only 650 gold. It's just to get in there and do some damage. They're not the greatest, but they can, if you let them go, they're going to get their damage in. He does have a Saurus Old Blood on foot, which I think is actually a really good choice. Saurus Old Bloods are actually really good, but yeah, this guy's armor piercing. He does have the Horn of Kygor, 40 meters, 25 melee attack, plus 18% charge bonus, plus 8 leadership. Every 90 seconds for 20 seconds. He does have Stand Your Ground for plus 16 leadership and plus 27 melee defense, and cold-blooded. And he does have a Skink Priest of Heavens, again, just on foot. Doesn't need, you don't really need to bring anything on these big dinos for your heroes, I don't think. And he only has 1 spell, Curse of the Midnight Wind, minus 30 armor and minus 26 melee attack. And really what that is for, Curse of the Midnight Wind, is really to get these Saurus Warriors going. They can do so much damage because they have 52 weapon strength. They don't have a whole lot of armor piercing. It's not bad, but with Curse of the Midnight Wind, they're devastating. Horn of Kygor, put those together, they're awesome. So, aside from talking about the builds, we'll get this game going. Really want to talk about what these gyrocopters do, and just one does. That pressure, and Oroku Boss talks about pressure. Yumeis talks about pressure in his online dwarf multiplayer guide. Pressure can make you make bad decisions, and this is very constant. And you're going to see this right now already. Okay, the Lizardman player is world class. He's like really, really good player. He's already moved his Chameleon Skinks off from their task. Their task is to get after the Slayers right in here. Because he sees that gyrocopter and he knows he has nothing here to defend against the gyrocopter at all. So he said, well, I'm going to try and bring my Chameleon Skinks back here and do some damage to the gyrocopter, poison them so they have 25% less armor piercing, and whatnot. So Amovehacker, he's scouting. He sees, okay, there we go. There is something in the woods. Cold One Rider. I'm going to take some shots, and this is where things start to go downhill. So the Lizardman player is walking to that front line right now. He's just walking to that front line. And he's trying to hide in the forest, and now he's lost 2 models from his Cold One Riders. And he's trying to, get his Chameleon Skinks up here to start getting shots on the gyrocopter with the brimstone guns. You're gonna just bang. Now he's lost 5 models, and he's lost close to 1,000 health already. These guys are down from 4,600 to 3,600. Just gyrocopters just chipping away. And now he's lost another model. And he's going to get these Chameleon Skinks in place, but now Amovehacker is going to move them up to the other way. These guys will chase, and now you can kind of see this feeling of your unit being wasted is really intense. Turn talks about a lot of being able to put some pressure on a player's back line of being stressful even for good players, and it is. And when we see this engagement, we're actually going to see what this has done. Even though Energize is a player here, is unbelievable. He's a really, really strong player. You're going to see the difference. And in how these lines engage. So Amovehacker is kind of saying, okay, I'm going to put my Giant Slayers over there. I'm going to get ready with my Iron Drakes, because really he wants to be able to shoot at these Kroxigors with these Iron Drakes, and he wants to be able to shoot at these Kroxigors with these Iron Drakes. And you know, he's like, okay, I see these Red Crested Snakes going wide. Amovehacker is going to move his Longbeards out this way, and he's going to move his Miners sort of in, and he's just now chipping away at the Kroxigors. So he's just getting some damage on those Kroxigors, and he's got the Chameleon Skinks way over here. Energize trying to get around that side. I mean, there's you know, right here is where he wants to get all his troops, because he knows there's some juicy targets in there. He's going to get these guys outside, and I'm just going to start slowing it down so we can kind of see. You know, he's still trying to walk up just to conserve his vigor, but now these guys are going to start to run. These guys are running, because really he has to sort of get there because his line's starting to get close. And you can see the one unit that was really intended to go after the Slayers is now all the way over here. The Chameleon Skinks are not going to be able to get shots on the Slayers from up here. They just don't have the range. They really have to go all the way around the battlefield, one way or the other, and they're shooting the Gyrocopter. Yeah, that Gyrocopter is definitely taking a little bit of damage, but not that much, and it is poisoned, so it's not doing as much to the Kroxigors. But it is doing some damage to those Kroxigors. So you can see this swaparoo is taking place. We got the Miners up here, we got the Longbeards up here. Now the Quarrelers in the back are just going to start taking shots. I think we've got one model off these Kroxigors here, down from 12 to 11. That's not nothing. And now the line is just getting ready to engage. You can see Amovehacker is just pulling back in a little bit, just drawing back in a little bit, because what does he want to do? He wants to get a nice blasting charge shot with his Miners with blasting charge. A really, really subtle movement. It doesn't look like much, but it's not nothing. He's going to come in here, and there go the blasting charges. So I want to show you something here, because this is really important to kind of see the effect. Though the effect is smaller when you're playing against really, really good players. But no matter what, pressure affects you. So if you look at this, if you look at this line, when you play against, like I know when I play against really good players, it is really frustrating because Aurora Boss, my coach, talks about this. They tend to engage everything at the same time, and they absolutely overwhelm your line. Okay, you can look at this engagement, and Energize, outstanding player. Look at this. So we got one engagement here. These guys are not quite there. These guys are a little bit off. I mean, Amove played a little clever trick in the front. These guys are off, but these guys are actually quite far from wheeling in, and these guys are quite far from wheeling into that. And that's the pressure. We've got these guys way offside, and you'll see a very, very common tactic for Lizardmen players to hold their Kroxigors. And this is what Energize is doing. But you can see these guys that have even just 1,000, not even 1,000 health off. What do they got? They're from almost 1,000 health. Like, he's trying to hold them back. Like, you can see, this is what he's doing. This is a purposeful move to hold back your Kroxigors. But these Kroxigors are way further back. The ones who are taking damage are really close, because what happens is when you have a unit that's taking damage, you tend to want to get it involved in the fight. So the fight is starting in earnest. We've got the blasting charges going off here. We've got all the units starting to engage. And I just want to pause it for one more second, and just to really see the difference. Where we've got these Kroxigors, look at how far they are. He's held them back properly, because he wants to get everything else engaged so he doesn't take the big shots from these inside units. But these Kroxigors are already engaged, and they're in sight of these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes. So the fight's about to begin in earnest, and really, Amove just wants to hold the line, but he's going to have a really hard time. He's brought the Lizardmen out here, but you can see already he's got he knows he's weak here, so he's got his Quarter shooting at these Red Crested Skinks. So there's 2 Red Crested Skinks here on these Miners. And, you know, they're not going to be able to hold, so he's got these other Miners with their blasting charges in on this side. But you can see Energize has the Kroxigors here, Saurus Warriors, and he's got the Skink Priest of Heaven, and already these Miners with blasting charges are routing. So Amove is going to do his blasting charges to try to push this way, but Lizardmen player is going to just try and open up a corridor right this way and put all his pressure so he can move his units in through that corridor. And on this side, everything's going quite a bit better. We've got the red-crested skinks over here, the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. These guys are a little bit late to the game, but they're going to get a charge in. And we've got the Longbeards here, and Miners with Blast charges here, Croxagors, and cohorts of Sotek, the red-crested skinks. And we do have the Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes are going to start shooting at these Croxagors right here, because they've essentially just wiped out this Feral Bastillodon. Like, I didn't really show this, but they just wiped out this Feral Bastillodon. These Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes are so good, and this Feral Bastillodon is now routing, and the Longbeards are going to be left here to fight. And in comes a charge for the Cold One Riders, and you can see, really, this is going to be really hard to hold right here, because the Lizardmen player is a very good player. He's going to put all his pressure sort of in this area, and boom, you can see he's got these red-crested skinks. He's just pushing them through. He's just pathing them in. Amove is able to sort of keep this line okay for this front side, because he's got this Feral Bastillodon going, and he's got these cavalry in here, and these cavalry, again, a little bit late to the game, but he does sort of want them a little late to the game, but you can see he really does want to get them involved. So we're going to see here, this is where it's really, really intense right here, because the Lizardman player is force pathing through here with these red-crested skinks, and he's managed to route these Longbeards, so he has Croxagors, Skink Priest of Heavens, his Saurus Warrior, and he's putting a ton of pressure on here to this front with the Saurus Old Blood, and now he's just going to start pouring through this gap in the line. So we'll press play again. There's just so much that happens right here in this battle, and you can see. So what Amovehacker has done is he actually brought the Giant Slayers in. He does not want to fight Red Crested Skinks with the Giant Slayers, but he has no choice because his line's collapsed on this side. So he's trying to get the Iron Drakes out here. So now as the Lizardman player enters, and he's trying to get the Althar's Raiders out, he's trying to get the Iron Drakes out, and he's trying to push in the Dragonback Slayers and try to push in the Giant Slayers so he can create a new line like this on both these sides. But the Lizardman player is using Curse of the Midnight Wind to actually split that gap and push up there as hard as he possibly can. So the Brimstone guns still shooting at the Cold One Riders, and these Chameleon Skinks are still shooting at the Brimstone guns. Meanwhile, the Lizardman army has definitely breached this. They got Curse of the Midnight Wind, but you can see this really, really nice play here. Amovehacker hasn't moved these Iron Drakes. He's still working on these Croxagors. You can look, they're now down to like 2,300 health, 11 models. They're going to start losing models really fast. This is just a really calm way to play. He doesn't need to move these Iron Drakes. They're on guard mode. He needs to get these Croxagors. This Feral Bastillodon is out, and but he absolutely has to deal with the Skink Priest of Heavens, these Croxagors. He's got Saurus Warriors, he's got Red Crested Skinks. So he's pushed his Slayers in here, and he's pushed these Iron Drakes back to try and actually deal with this pocket while he's managed to leave this Iron Drake with Trollhammer torpedoes fighting. So we're going to press play again. Everything happens so fast in here. So he's got these gyrocopters going. They're going to use the rest of their guns on the Cold One Riders. Now he's going to bring, the Lizardman player is going to bring his Cold One Riders around and try and get into this pocket right in here. And you can see he's got these Red Crested Skinks into the line. He's got these Saurus Warriors into the line. He's got the Croxagors in the line. He's got his Skink Priest of Heavens in the line. He's got these Saurus Warriors have collapsed, the Longbeards here, and he's got his Saurus Orblood. Everyone is absolutely pouring into this middle. It's a complete inundation, but Amovehacker is going to be playing really hard. He's going to turn these Iron Drakes. He's going to make sure they keep fighting, because he needs to get this Feral Bastillodon, who came back from route, gone and dead. He's taking another couple shots there. This whole mess is going on in here, and he's got the Horn of Cargor and Stand Your Ground. So just take a look. He's got Croxagors with 51 melee attack and 53 melee defense. It's absolutely ridiculous. These Saurus Warriors have 56 melee attack. So he's actually really pummeling the Dowie in the center. But we've got Slayers in here that are fighting. We've got the Lord that's fighting, and he has been able to absolutely murder that Feral Bastillodon, and now he's going to put his target back onto the Croxagors here, because he has to hold here, has to hold here, and then he can push back out here with his Slayers, and push and go back out here with his range. You can see he's managed to rout these cold ones. Now he's focused on the Kroxigor. So yet these other cold ones are coming in. You can see they're now coming in. So these Longbeards are doing okay. The Red Crested Skinks are starting to rally, and he's going to bring in these Gyrocopters to help. These Longbeards are going to go after the Chameleon Skinks. These Longbeards can now go after the Chameleon Skinks. Boom! Right into the corridors here. And he's coming here to help with a rear charge with these Gyrocopters. And he's trying to get some shots. You can see the Authorized Raiders are shooting against these guys. Again, I'm going to slow it down because there's just so much that's going on right here. So he's rear charging with the Gyrocopter. He's holding it off with the Giant Slayers, these Saurus Warriors. Absolutely, this is not what you want to do, but he has to do it. And he's getting absolutely pounded with his Lord here from the Lizardmen Lord. So Amovehacker is going to take his Lord and try and sneak him out. He has to get him out. And the Quarters have been beat down by these Colon Riders, so you can see he's got to deal with these Colon Riders. These guys have rallied over here. These cohort of Sotek have beaten down the miners with blasting charges, but these Red Crested Skinks are ready to rout. He's got the Saurus Warriors with shields in here going after these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes. It is absolutely full-on chaos in the middle of the Dowie line. So you're going to see Amovehacker is really, he's trying to push his Lord out of here. He's trying to get him away from that guy. And these Cold One Riders, he's got the rear charge going on, and he's got the Giant Slayers in there doing some damage. He's got his Ulthar's Raiders, his Dragonback Slayers are coming in against these Cold One Riders over here. Again, I got to slow it down because there's just so much that happens in such a little amount of time over here. He's got these Dragonback Slayers are now coming back after these Cold One Riders, and he's got these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes shooting at these Cold One Riders, and these Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes trying to just push out and get a firing position against these guys. And you can see the Lord, the Dowie Lord, is almost dead, so he's desperately just trying to push him out, get him going. And the Lizardman player knows if he gets rid of the Lord, he's going to be able to make some hay. So he's bringing back these Longbeards that are wavering. He's going to try and push the Longbeards in and run his Lord through so we can exchange them and sort of get free over here. The Gyrocopter made a rear charge in these Red Crested Skinks against the Longbeards and routed them. And you can see this is all resolving because I'll go really slow, but these Saurus Warriors are with shields are routing. You can see they're getting some shots with the Ulthar's Raiders, their last shots going in. And the Warriors of Dragonfire Past are now holding back the cohort of Sotek, who had beat these miners with blasting charges. And the Slayers now have been able to retreat. And you can see now you have a fully capable Dowie backline. These Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes have a ton of ammo left. So do these. These guys have 12 ammo left. And the Slayers have actually sorted out all of this mess in here. So now the Ulthar's Raiders have used all their weapons, so they're essentially a infantry unit. He's using his Gyrocopters to try and deal with these Chameleon Skinks, and he's actually shattered these Red Crested Skinks. Over here, these Longbeards are fighting Red Crested Skinks and Saurus Warriors. These Saurus Warriors are gone, so this is the last part. So he's just running. He's just running his Lord back around, and this Saurus Oldblood is trying to chase him down. These Longbeards have really stopped them, and these guys are trying to chase off the Coralers. So he wants to get rid of the Coralers, so he's got Skink Priestess Heavens over on there. But this is just some, like, how this all sorted out so quickly is absolutely beautiful. So now you can see Amovehacker is actually going to sort out where he's going to shoot. He's going to start picking some targets. He's like, okay, who do I got to shoot? Where do I got to go? He's bringing in his Gyrocopter with Brimstone Guns to do a rear charge on those Red Crested Skinks, and he's got the right units in on these Chameleon Skinks. He's trying to get his Lord out, and he's bringing his Gyrocopter back into this area. Really, these Red Crested Skinks are not going to beat these Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. He's like, I don't want any piece of these Saurus Warriors, so he's got his Iron Drakes on this side, shooting at these Red Crested Skinks, and he's got Iron Drakes on this side, shooting at these Saurus Warriors. And you're going to see one volley, these guys are going to rout. One volley, these guys are going to slow down. He wants to get a second shot in, so he's bringing back his Ulthar's Raiders, but he realizes he's not going to be able to get a second shot in, so he's going to throw his Ulthar's Raiders back in, and he's going to charge with his Gyrocopter with the Brimstone Gun and keep shooting with his Iron Drakes. This is absolutely beautiful move, and you can see he's actually going to rout the Saurus Warriors. And he's got here, his Lord is trying to pull through, and that Saurus Oldblood is trying to get him, so he has routed these Saurus Warriors. He's routed these Red Crested Skinks, And these Saurus Warriors are coming back, and now he's taking over with the Saurus Oblud. He's got him marked by Ilthar, so the Dragonback Slayer is going to do a bunch of damage. Now he's going to think about bringing his Lord in to get some shots in, but that's not a good idea. You can see he's managed to rout these guys. He's got his Ulthar's Raiders in to come for a rear charge against Chameleon Skins, and he gets off a bombing run on these Saurus Warriors with shields, and then he rear charges them for the rout. This is absolutely beautiful play right here. Just unbelievable micro to handle all this, and now he's taking his Lord. He's just going to pull him out, post him up here, no chances. Doesn't want to take any chances, and now he's going to take some shots at these Saurus Warriors. He's going to take some shots at the Saurus Oblud right there, and he's fighting Slayers. He's pinned these Chameleon Skinks between the Ulthar's Raiders and Longbeards, and he's routed them. He's chasing these guys off with the Gyrocopter with Brimstone guns. And, you know, these Roars of Dragonfire Pass are going to rout, but they've done an outstanding job against the Saurus Warriors with shields. Now the Iron Drakes Troll Armor Torpedoes are going to get a shot in, and they're going to do a job. They have routed the Saurus Oblud. There's really nothing much left on the field, and this is just an absolute beauty of a game. When you look at it in slow, how much Amovehacker did in so little time to really sort out that back line, and just is absolutely beautiful play. And these are some of these games, like you know, some games have one or two really cool ideas, some games have some interesting gameplay, and then some games are like this, that there's so much that happens in so little time and so many good decisions. It's absolutely unbelievable. This is a wonderful game to watch. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times to really try to make sure I got it all, because there's so much that happened in that really short time. Like, this wasn't a very long game, and I mean, these are two amazing players. I mean, they're playing into very evenly matched factions. So we're gonna go over this now. Amovehacker does like the base Lord, only 1,000 gold. He has 3 miners with blasting charges. They got 0, 19, and 19. These guys that got 0, they didn't get their blasting charges off, and they got inundated by 2 red-crested skinks. The Longbeards always perform 27, 28, 109, 9, and 1. And you can see there were still some Longbeards fighting right to the bitter end. Now these Warriors at Dragonfire Pass, 120. Unbelievable. They did really, really good. And they got a charge right in the face from these Cold One Riders. So, I mean, oh, they're so good in this matchup. But, I don't have any Slayers in my build, because if I brought the Dragonback Slayers back in, I think I would bring the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass back in, because they don't synergize often, but when they do, they're really awesome. Dragonback Slayers, 87. They were really MVPs in that back line. Giant Slayers, 86, were awesome. 21 for the Quarrelers, and you can see what the Quarrelers did. Really focused on the red-crested skinks. Amovehacker had them on target the entire game versus red-crested skinks. He had 1 volley versus the Saurus Warriors, but they have lots of ammo, so it's not that big of a deal. He got all his shots off with the Ulthar's Raiders. They did 29 kills, but really they really focused down this Feral Bastillodon. They focused down the Saurus Oblud. They had some nice sort of volleys here and there. 39 and 70 with these Iron Drakes Troll Hammer Torpedoes. Like, these Troll Hammer Torpedoes did really, really well. They had key damage at a really critical points of the game, and how calmly Amovehacker was on his left flank with that one group of Iron Drakes was pretty impressive. And then 40 with the Gyrocopter, the Brimstone gun. Used all their ammos, and he used their bombs, and he rear charged. Unbelievable game. 1 unit. What a difference 1 unit makes. And hopefully we hear from Amovehacker in the comments. I did ask him sort of a PM, how do you feel about the Brimstone gun, adding that 1 Gyrocopter? I mean, I know since I've added the 1 Gyrocopter, I mean, my build just feels so much better. It feels more dynamic. It feels like it can put more pressure on the opponent. I just feel like my Lizardmen build is better, and in a meaningful way. It's not like I don't know how to describe it, and hopefully Amove can describe the difference he felt. Maybe he felt none, maybe he felt lots, but the way he used that Gyrocopter was amazing. And when you have like 3 or 4 Gyrocopters, it is really, really hard to use. But when you have just the 1, you can usually sort of get your bombs off. You get some rear charges in. You can sort of use it. And maybe that's the key, to have just the 1, and there are some builds where you do want more than 1, but, anyways, 40 kills, and they got chip damage on the Croxagores, chip damage on the Cold One Riders, rear charges when they needed them, bombing runs. I mean, these gyrocopters just did everything in this matchup, and beautifully played by Amovehacker. Now, for the Lizardmen army, 30 for the Saurus Oldblood. The Saurus Oldblood just about got our Lord there. 9 kills with the Skink Priest of the Heavens, but I thought that Curse of the Midnight Wind was beautiful. The way Energized actually opened up that gap, and then once he was inside the gap, cast a huge Overcast Curse of the Midnight Wind to really... He knew he was going to get the gap opened up, but he wanted to, once he got in there, to just absolutely obliterate the center of the Dowie formation. It was a really beautiful play, actually. And both these guys played a really nice game. That's why the game is beautiful as a whole, because both of them played really nicely. And you know, for the Red Crested Skinks, 17, 59, 93, and 17. The Saurus Warriors always perform in this matchup. 71, 74, and 80. They are outstanding. The cohort of Sotek always perform as well. 94. They're only 25 more than the Saurus Warriors, and they're very... I think this is a must-have in this matchup for the Lizardmen, and they are worth focusing down with the Quarrelers. I think really, if you want to look for a unit to focus down, it's the cohort, Red Crested Skink cohort of Sotek with your Quarrelers and with your Miners with Blasting Chargers. I mean, if you're facing them, of course, if you play the Dowie and you're placing the Lizardmen, you're gonna see these guys. So be ready for them. Chameleon Skinks only got 13. You know, they did get a charge in, but you could see this gyrocopter changed what that Chameleon Skink did. Had that been a cannon instead of a gyrocopter, the Chameleon Skink gets around back, stays hidden, and then once the Giant Slayers are engaged, just shoots them in the back and just gets free kills all day. And then no Dowie can catch them. You know, they just get free kills all day. So they probably end with sort of like 40 kills instead if there's a cannon. Because they probably kill the cannon too. Like they probably end with 40 kills, and they're against the cannon and slayers, and you know, like really high value targets. 47 and 13 with the Cold One Riders. He's 13 with the Cold One Riders. I think they were a little beat up in the very beginning. 5 with that Feral Bastillodon. That is all Trollhammer Torpedo and Althar's Raiders. Althar's Raiders are amazing. So are Trollhammer Torpedoes. They absolutely obliterated the Feral Bastillodon, and a really nice switch up of the micro there to actually kill it when it came back. 38 and 44 with the Croxagores. There's nothing wrong with those numbers. Those are kind of the numbers you're looking for to hold them down to 38 and 44 kills. You know you've done a good job on there. So absolutely amazing game. And you know, and you look at Yumei's game yesterday. His game was amazing, and you could see the differences in the armies and how they play out. And if you watch, you see sort of the army that I've been fielding. You know, these 3 armies are sort of converging on certain ideas, and you know, the stable one is Longbeards in the front line. I mean, they are always awesome, and you know, at least a couple Miners with Blasting Charges, absolutely. At least one Quarreler or Ranger, Althar's Raiders, absolutely, and you know, one Gyrocopter, really outstanding. Now the Trollhammer Torpedoes, I got one Trollhammer Torpedo in my lineup, and I'm glad I have it. You know, you might see, and I put a Thunder in my lineup. So I'm sort of playing with that, because the Thunders have better range, and sort of, you know, if you ever do get like a, I don't know, like a Skink Chief on a Pterodactyl or Pterodon or something like that, you know, you'll be able to wipe him out so fast. Like every once in a while you'll see sort of stuff like that, and Thunders are really good. So, you know, as far as what makes up the backline, whether it's really heavy with Slayers, I don't have any Slayers in my build right now, and it seems to be working okay, but I have more defenses against that frontline pressure. It is much harder to breach my line because I have 5 Longbeards, and behind them I have 5 Miners with Blasting Charges. So, and then in the very back line, you know, I have also a secondary set of defenses. So, you know, it's a bit of a different concept, but you can see how these builds are converging on what you would say is the meta pick. Now, if you see Shetland Apache play, he plays like some of the craziest freaking builds. They're so awesome to watch. He's like the anti-meta player. So, anyways, I would love to hear what you thought about this matchup, what you think about the Dowie build, what you thought about this compared to Yumei's game, and how they were a little bit different. How, you know, are you starting to use gyrocopters in your builds for the Dowie, or just that one? I'm finding it is so nice and it's powerful, especially in this matchup. And you know, and have you been, or maybe you're a Lizardmen player. I know we have Lizardmen play mains on the channel that will comment sometimes. I mean, what are you doing to deal with the Dowie? Is it just a straight up 3 Croxigors and you know, just pound through the line? If you pound through it, if you don't, you don't. You know, like, what are you thinking about dealing with gyrocopters, or trying to manage that part of the game, or are you just ignoring them? So I would love to hear from a Lizardmen main as well. And with that said, you know, I hope you found it interesting, and I'll see you soon.